All right, good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the San Jose City Council for the afternoon of June 3rd. Welcome. Tony, would you please call the roll?
Kamei? Here. Campos? Salas? Cohen? Here. Ortiz?
Present.
Mulcahy?
Here.
Dwan?
Here.
Candelas?
Here.
Casey? Here. Foley? Here. Mahan?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Now, if you're able, please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Today's invocation will be provided by Rabbi Dana Magat of Temple Emmanuel, and Councilmember Mulcahy will tell us more.
Thank you, Mayor. It is my honor to welcome and introduce Rabbi Dana Magat of Temple Emmanuel, located in District 6. Founded in 1861, Temple Emmanuel is the first Jewish congregation in the Santa Clara Valley and stands as one of the oldest Reformed congregations on the West Coast, with a very proud history spanning over 160 years. Rabbi Magat has served as the senior rabbi of Temple Emmanuel since 1999, offering more than 25 years of spiritual leadership and community service. He is deeply committed to interfaith collaboration across Silicon Valley and currently serves as chair of the Interfaith Council on Economics and Justice for Santa Clara County. I'm always impressed and appreciative of his infectious energy and amazing diction, which you'll experience in a moment. In addition to leading a temple that welcomes everyone in our community, and he puts on a mean Seder. Please join me in welcoming Rabbi Dana Magat, who will now lead us in today's invocation.
Thank you so much. Mayor, City Council members, it's an honor to be here, and a special thank you to Councilmember Michael Mulcahy for inviting me. Yesterday, Jews throughout the world celebrated the holy day of Shavuot. In fact, traditional Jews are still celebrating until this evening. It is one of what we call the Shalosh Regalim, the three pilgrimage festivals, along with the holidays of Sukkot and Passover. All three of these holy days are first mentioned in the Torah, the first part of the Hebrew Bible. Shavuot is a combination of the theophany at Mount Sinai, that is the giving of the 10 Commandments, and a harvest festival, in this case the harvest of wheat in the land of Israel. Traditionally, it is the time when the Jewish people received the Torah at the foot of Mount Sinai. But there's a wonderful concept in Judaism that all humanity, past, present, and future, receive the Torah on that day as well. Torah is a symbol of our tradition, yes, but so too Torah is a symbol of learning and teaching. For ultimately, power does not come from money or who has the most toys or the most wealth. True power comes from knowledge, education, and the ability to learn from each other. My hope is that the holy day of Shavuot inspires all of us to learn something new, to be inquisitive, to be curious, to look at nuance, to be willing to put ourselves into someone else's shoes. The beauty of living in the United States is that we have the opportunity to learn about each other's culture, faith, and way of life. By doing so, we fight the growing wave of xenophobia, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, prejudice, quite frankly, the anti-everything mentality that is sweeping our nation. Thankfully, we live in a city that believes in the uniqueness of each person. Bernie Greenfield, a blessed memory whom we honor today, understood the importance of standing up for what is right. As we celebrate Jewish American Heritage Month, maybe even if it was last month, who cares? And the incredible work of the JCRC, the Jewish Community Relations Council, may we all continue to fight for all people's rights to live their lives in freedom and equality. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi, for that inspiring invocation, and our apologies for being a few days tardy and recognizing Jewish American Heritage Month, which we will do momentarily. We're on to ceremonial items. I'd like to invite Vice Mayor Foley and Councilmember Cohen to join me at the podium to recognize and proclaim June as Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month. Today I'm honored to proclaim Pride Month in the city of San Jose alongside Councilmember David Cohen. This year marks 55 years since the first Pride March, a movement born out of protest and resilience following the 1969 Stonewall riots. We also celebrate 50 years of Silicon Valley Pride, a milestone that reminds us just how far we've come and how strong our local LGBTQ+ community is. We are fortunate to live in a city that celebrates and supports our LGBTQ+ neighbors, but we must never take that for granted. Since 2001, we have proudly proclaimed Pride Month and raised the Pride flag at City Hall, which we will do this afternoon at 5 o'clock. Please join us. Traditions, which I am honored to continue today. These ceremonies are more than just traditions. It's a public declaration of who we are and what we stand for. Because even here, in a city that champions diversity, equity, and inclusion, we are not immune to the rising tide of hate, bigotry, and misinformation targeting the LGBTQ+ community. Across the country, we have continued to witness a disturbing surge in anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, legislation, and violence, especially against transgender individuals. As a community leader, elected official, and mother, I refuse to stand by while people's identities are debated, their rights rolled back, and their safety threatened. The fight for equality is not over. The equality we continue to fight for tells LGBTQ+ individuals that their love is just as valid, their marriages just as meaningful, and their families are as important as anyone else's. Pride affirms the fundamental truth that every person deserves dignity, respect, and the freedom to live openly and authentically without fear. This month, we must celebrate Pride not only with joy, but with purpose. Our celebration is also a resistance. Before I take the stand every year, I'm reminded why I am here and why this issue is so important to me. And I'd like to share it with you. For those of you who have not heard this story before, you'll hear it now. For those who have, I apologize for hearing it year after year. I think of my brother Tim, who passed away from AIDS actually 29 years ago last week. And I remember his creativity, his life force, and his courage to live life loudly. I think of my daughter and her girlfriend, and the world I want for them, where their love doesn't have to be politicized and questioned. And I think of the LGBTQ+ youth growing up in a world where their identities are questioned and attacked. This is unacceptable. They are watching us, looking for hope, and counting on us to stand up for their rights and their future. Let us be their allies. These moments remind me that pride is deeply personal, and we cannot afford to be silent or complacent. I stand with you louder, prouder, and more committed than ever as a straight ally in this fight for equality, for acceptance, for love. Today, I'm delighted to invite one of the many individuals from the Silicon Valley Pride organization who works hard volunteering their time and energy to create a more vibrant LGBTQ+ community here in San Jose. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Silicon Valley Pride's Chief Diversity Officer, Bianca Zamora.
Good afternoon and happy Pride. Thank you, Mayor Mahan, Councilmember Foley, and the entire City Council for your support and advocacy. My name is Bianca Tonancin Zamora, and I am grateful to be speaking today as the Chief Diversity Officer for Silicon Valley Pride in such a critical time in our history where we are called to uplift the diversity, protections, safety, rights, and lives of every member of the Two-Spirit LGBTQ+ community. San Jose's leadership in advocating for the rights of LGBTQ people sends a powerful message, not only to those who call home in this city, but to those across the U.S. in states or cities where visible support is lacking. As Silicon Valley Pride enters its 50th year, I want to remind us that Pride is not just a moment in time. Pride is not just a month in the year. Pride is a continual political movement, a movement rooted in generations of resistance, resistance to violence, to erasure, and to the systemic narrative that LGBTQ lives and rights are disposable. We are living in a moment where fear is being weaponized. Across this country, laws are being proposed and passed to erase LGBTQ people from education, from curriculum, healthcare systems, sports, and public life. These attacks are intentional, they are strategic, and they create further disparities for the most vulnerable, queer and trans youth, LGBTQ+ people of color, elders, undocumented and documented immigrants, and low-income communities. But we will not be erased because we come from generations of queer and trans people who refused to be silenced. When we wake up and we feel overwhelmed, exhausted, afraid, I want us to remember to stand in our potential. Remember that we come from queer and trans ancestors and elders who believed in a future where we are seen, protected, and have the rights to reach our full potential. We remember the Stonewall Uprising in 1969, when queer and trans people led by transgender women of color rose up against political violence. These are the resilient roots of Pride. Today, the threats to our safety, well-being, and rights are on the rise, and we see political agendas to ban drag performances, criminalize gender-affirming care, eliminate LGBTQ+ curriculum, and forcibly out queer and trans youth in their schools. San Jose needs to continue to be a city that affirms that queer and trans people belong, are protected, and are worthy of enlivening their full potential. And that's why this year's theme for the 50th annual Silicon Valley Pride is Unstoppable. Because we are unstoppable. Unstoppable in our resistance, unstoppable in our joy, unstoppable in our love, unstoppable in our future, and unstoppable in our full potential. San Jose, happy Pride. We are unstoppable. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to invite Councilmember Campos to join me at the podium, and we will recognize and proclaim June as Children's Awareness Month.
So I am very honored and excited to be a part of this proclamation because we recognize that in San Jose, our children and their families thrive when they have access to affordable housing, childcare, and quality early learning and education that promotes physical, cognitive, social, and emotional development. I had the opportunity to learn about the great work of Parent Voices several years back. And I was so impressed by the organizing model that they take. The mission of Parent Voices is through grassroots organizing and leadership development that they activate and center the wisdom of parents to transform childcare and ensure that all systems that impact our families are just, fair, and inclusive. Because their vision is of a just and caring society that centers the needs of Black, Indigenous, and immigrant families in order to ensure that all children, parents, and caregivers journey through life with dignity and love. And at a time like now, where we are seeing the very real threats and impacts on the values that we in San Jose hold dearly, such as a city that is driven by our diversity, as a city that understands that our wealth comes from people of all backgrounds who make rich contributions to the social fabric of our communities. It is important to uplift and highlight how important and rooted in that work our groups like Parent Voices are, making sure that especially those members of our community, like our children, who oftentimes do not come to give public comment, they are not old enough to vote, let alone hold public office. It's so important that we have champions who are advocating for the needs of our most vulnerable communities, and that's what I have found with the leaders of Parent Voices, and I'm very excited to welcome Liliana to share some remarks before accepting the proclamation.
Hi, my name is Liliana Camacho. I'm the organizer for the Santa Clara chapter of Parent Voices. It's an honor to be here today and support this proclamation for Children's Awareness Month. A special thanks to Councilmember Pamela Campos. We appreciate your leadership on this issue and your commitment to the children and families in the city of San Jose. Now more than ever, we are counting on our local elected officials to put the needs of children and families first. As the Trump administration attacks our social safety net, targets our immigrant communities, and hands trillions in tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans, it is up to us to invest in the system and programs that families need to thrive. This proclamation affirms the city of San Jose's commitment to do just that. At the same time, we have work to do. We have a member in San Jose who finally got off the child care waiting list and was able to get publicly funded child care for her daughter. But earlier this year, she had her service cut off for making $100 more than the state maximum. She had the choice to quit her job and risking sliding into poverty or pull her daughter out of child care, where she had made friends and learned so many skills to get her ready for kindergarten. In a city where the average rent is $3,000 a month, we should not be forcing families to choose between their job and their child care. We also know that as long as child care providers remain some of the lowest paid workers in our society, that it will be hard for families to find affordable child care. Child care centers are constantly dealing with staffing turnover. I see it firsthand where my kids go to school where they have a hard time meeting ratios. Family child care providers make below minimum wage when they accept the reimbursement rate through the state, meaning that our providers who care for the kids of working families struggling to make ends meet have to suffer financially to do so. Another one of our members is a family friend and neighbor provider, and the pay is so low that she can't afford to keep doing it. For too long, all this to say today is important step, and we really appreciate the commitment from the city of San Jose to making this city a place where every child has child care and every child has affordable housing. Every child has the opportunity they need to meet their dreams, and we're looking forward to working with all to make that reality. Thank you.
City, and if you all for the work you do. We appreciate it. All right, and on to our final ceremonial item. I'd like to invite Councilmember Cohen and Councilmember Mulcahy to join me at the podium, where we will recognize and proclaim Jewish American Heritage Month, just a few days late.
In April 2006, the federal government proclaimed May as Jewish American Heritage Month. I'm excited that today we recognize the month here at a San Jose City Council meeting. I know it's now June, but for the purposes of the proclamation today, I will call it May 34th. As an American of Jewish heritage and San Jose City Council member, I'm honored to recognize Jewish American Heritage Month, a time to celebrate the remarkable contribution Jewish Americans have made to this country. Jewish Americans have been part of the American story and have greatly contributed to all areas of American life since our nation's earliest days. From Jonas Salk to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Jewish Americans have helped shape the moral, intellectual, and cultural fabric of our nation. The Jewish American experience is a powerful story of resilience and community. In the 1880s, many, including my ancestors, came to the United States fleeing persecution and seeking opportunity. They came from what is now Poland, Ukraine, Russia, Belarus, Lithuania, Romania, and many other countries throughout Eastern Europe. In the Bay Area, they built synagogues, community groups, and advocacy networks, not only to support each other, but to fight for those still suffering abroad. That mix of activism and cultural preservation is a defining thread in our country's story. Generations of Jews have helped build, teach, cure, perform, and govern. Today, our Jewish community reflects a diverse tapestry, racially, culturally, and spiritually. Approximately 25% of Jewish households include a person of color. That's not just a statistic, it's a source of pride and strength. But we must also face a painful truth. Anti-Semitism is rising in our country. In 2024, the U.S. saw a record number of incidents. Nearly half of our Jewish neighbors in the Bay Area reported experiencing or witnessing hate. The past week has been an especially dark one for Jewish Americans. The murder of 2 young people outside the Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C., and the firebombing of a Jewish group in Boulder on Sunday are part of a troubling trend of escalating hate in our country. Jews in our community feel especially vulnerable, and we as a city need to assure them that we will do everything in our power to make them feel safe. San Jose shares an obligation to condemn and combat anti-Semitism wherever it exists, including Jewish Americans in all facets of civic life, and standing with Jewish American community against hatred and bigotry. Today we are joined by members of the Bay Area Jewish Coalition, to whom we will present today's commendation recognizing Jewish American Heritage Month. Rinat Shimshi will now say a few words about the importance of this month.
Mayor Mahan, Vice Mayor Foley, which we met last week, council members, good afternoon, and thank you for having me here today. My name is Rinat Shimshi. I have lived in San Jose for the last 25 years. I'm a mother of 2 and a veteran of the tech industry. I'm here today in my capacity as a member of the Bay Area Jewish Coalition, a grassroots volunteer organization fighting anti-Semitism in our region. We at the Bay Area Jewish Coalition are especially grateful to council members Mulcahy and Cohen for sponsoring today's Jewish American Heritage Month proclamation, which recognizes the numerous contributions of Jewish Americans to our nation, dating back to the birth of the Republic. Zooming in closer to our time and geography, Jewish Americans were pivotal in starting and growing many of the companies and developing many of the technologies that earned our region the moniker Silicon Valley. To mention just a few, I think you probably will find them familiar: Google, Facebook, Oracle, Intel, Salesforce, KLA, WhatsApp, SanDisk, I can go on. The Bay Area Jewish community and its 350,000 members, thank you to City Council for this recognition. I wish I could end on this uplifting and celebratory note, But sadly, I come here before you today with a heavy heart, echoing Councilmember Cohen's words. Anti-Jewish hate incidents have increased to unprecedented levels in the United States. Put simply, many Jewish Americans, including here in the Bay Area, do not feel safe to express their Jewish identity in public. Case in point, our synagogues, Jewish community centers, and Jewish schools now require security guards at their entrances. Let that sink in. Would it seem normal to you to need armed guards at your house of worship or community event? In the last few days, we were horrified to hear about the 2 domestic terrorist attacks targeting Jews, the gunning down of 2 attendees of an event at the Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C., and just this past weekend, the horrible attack of a Jewish gathering in Boulder, Colorado. These acts of violence are a direct result of inflammatory rhetoric that demonizes and delegitimizes the Jewish state. Allow me to make the connection for you. If the Jewish state is illegitimate, then people who support the Jewish state, the vast majority of Jews in America, are also illegitimate and are therefore a fair target. In our country, the right to free speech is a sacred right, but it does not mean that hateful rhetoric should go unchallenged. Elected officials and civic leaders, such as yourselves here behind me, have an important role to play. When you hear speech that incites violence or that demonizes a minority group, speak up and oppose it. Don't wait until the violence reaches our doorstep. I thank you again for the proclamation, and thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you all very much. We are on to orders of the day. Does anyone on the council have any changes to the printed agenda? I'm not aware of any. Okay, we are adjourning today's meeting in memory of Bernard Greenfield, who passed away on April 8th, 2024. A respected attorney and 2019 Lawyer of the Year, Bernie was also a dedicated mentor in Willow Glen High's mock trial program. His passion for justice and generous spirit left a lasting mark on his students and everyone who knew him. Councilmember Mulcahy, please tell us more.
Thank you, Mayor. I've known Bernie my entire professional life. I met him as a young commercial real estate broker out of college. I didn't know what I didn't know, yet every time I engaged with Bernie, I was treated to stories, laughter, and always learned something. He had a way to put you at ease in any situation, and his generous spirit was his calling card. My sister worked in his office for many years, and my family sought Bernie's advice, legal advice, and all kinds of advice until the time of his passing. My heart today is with his family. Rochelle and his wife is here this afternoon. Know that he is sorely missed by many, including me and my family, as a lawyer, friend, and confidant. At this time, please join me in welcoming Rachel Thomas, partner at Greenfield LLP, the firm that Bernie built, who will share her thoughtful reflection on Bernie's life and the profound impact he had on those around him.
Thank you, Councilmember Mulcahy, and thank you to the entire council and the mayor, and of course the staff for having us here today. My name is Rachel Thomas, as he indicated, and I am the managing partner of Greenfield LLP. That's the firm that Bernie Greenfield built over the past 4 decades. He was my law partner and my mentor and my friend. First and foremost, and also I must thank you for your public service. I'm told that public service is as stress-free as the practice of law, so thank you so much for that. But first and foremost, there's really no talk of Bernie Greenfield without mention of his family. His wife, Rochelle, his kids, Lisa and Janet, his granddaughters, Lila, Remy, Maisie, and Zella. You'd think they were celebrities, the way that he talked about them and showed you pictures. Everyone knows that he worshiped his wife, Rochelle. It was his least kept secret. She was really the only person who could tell him what to do, and as the managing partner of the law firm, I can vouch for that. Her opinion mattered more than anyone else's. And San Jose has her to thank for making Bernie a San Jose lawyer. That's because she's the only reason that he came to San Jose. He had no intention of leaving Los Angeles, the big city he had known and where he had attended both undergrad and law school. When Bernie came to San Jose in 1970s, it was a very different city than it is today. In its infancy, compared to the economic landscape and the city skyline that we see today, it was very, very different. Bernie loved to tell the story of when he first came to this city. He'd come into my office on the 15th floor of the Gold Building. Everyone knows where it is on Market Street. He'd point down at the courthouse a few blocks away, and the story would go something like this. Rachel, I attended my first court appearance right down there in downtown. He always called it walking through the double doors. It really brought him alive. After his first appearance, he walked outside. He sat on a park bench. He looked around at what he then perceived to be a very small town. He put his hands on his head, and in what he told me was his youthful ignorance, he thought, what have I done? But just as quickly as that thought came to him, he opened his eyes and a new thought came. Suddenly, he saw the truth of his circumstances. That's when he saw the truth of San Jose. He was smack dab in the middle of opportunity. He looked around, and from that moment forward, he made being a San Jose lawyer the center of his identity. With one caveat, an old Jewish San Jose lawyer. In fact, you always knew that when he had opposing counsel cornered, his eyes would get a little twinkle, his tone would get a little hint of whimsy, and he'd say one of his favorite refrains, but what do I know? I'm just a San Jose lawyer. That's when you knew he had them beat. Bernie could tell you just about everything about San Jose, the square footage of a new project, the history of the ownership of the land below, most importantly, about the people and relationships that make San Jose the most wonderful community to live in. He was so committed to the community that his daughters were practically adults when they first learned that San Francisco also had a baseball team called the Giants. And you wouldn't go anywhere in town without running into someone he knew. His longtime law partner, Maureen Harrington, used to say that going into the courthouse with Bernie Greenfield was like going into Cheers with Norm. Everyone knew him, and everyone was happy to see him. He loved to tell stories, as Councilmember Mulcahy told us. Sometimes he'd be telling you a story, regaling you with the hard work and grit of an opponent, the relentlessness of their attack, the precision of their drive, but you wouldn't know right away whether he was talking about a 60-year-old civil litigator or a 6-year-old playing softball. That's because he was deeply devoted to coaching girls softball and building community through various different endeavors. When his daughters were little, he coached their team, and he later coached his granddaughter's teams too. He was so committed to it, in fact, that one year he appeared in Los Gatos advocating for field time for the girls. The director of the Boys League, who then had no children, remarked to him, "What do the girls need the fields for? Give them some ribbons for their hair." Now, in his great Jewish tradition, Bernie did not abide in equality, but in his great Jewish lawyer tradition, he also knew how to play the long game. He bit his tongue, which is something he rarely did, and years later, this same daft gentleman had a daughter of his own. And as that certain gentleman was coaching his daughter's team and looking for field time, Bernie ran into him, still advocating for field time for the girls. But instead of saying anything snide, Bernie instead delivered a box of ribbons for him. He always fought for what was right, and he always knew just how to get his point across. Bernie had innumerable professional accomplishments. He was an absolute titan in the legal community. He stood for what was right. He was proud to represent his clients, which included so many local businesses like Casino Matrix, landowners, all sorts of businesses. Everyone knew in town that they could call Bernie if they had an issue. There was never a circumstance where he would not answer the call. Whether the call was a client, a friend, a daughter, or opposing counsel, he would take that call. And now, in his memory, my colleagues and I at Greenfield, the firm that continues to bear his good name, we answer those calls just as he did. We continue in his footsteps, one's dedicated to the San Jose community. We are known, just as he was, as straight shooters. And we will always answer the call, for we are just San Jose lawyers. Bernie Greenfield's memory lives on. It lives in our zealous representation of our clients. It lives in our professionalism with opposing counsel and candor to the court. And it lives on in our commitment to serving this community and loving our families. May his memory be a blessing.
Thank you for being here to share Bernie's exceptional story with us, a very San Jose story with us. Our thoughts and prayers are with you during this difficult time, and we're just grateful for everything Bernie did for our community. May his memory be a blessing. We will move on to the closed session report. Nora?
Thank you, Mayor. We do not have a report out of closed session today.
Thank you. Next is the consent calendar. Do we have any members of the council who would like to pull items from consent? Councilmember Mulcahy?
Mayor, I want to pull 2.2A.
Great, thank you. Any others?
I also like to pull 2.11 and 2.12 for comment.
Okay, great. Councilmember Dewan, why don't we go to you first for comment, and then we'll come next to Councilmember Mulcahy, if that's okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to our OED department for supporting our Tully East Ridge Business Association and the Monterey Corridor Business Association. By doing so, helping through the bid process, which will help our community to be safer and cleaner, and it will support more businesses for the city of San Jose. And I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember. Appreciate those comments. Now we're going to come back to Councilmember Mulcahy on item 2.2A.
Thank you, Mayor. This is just more comment. First, I want to sincerely thank District 6 residents, specifically those homeowners on Glen Erie and Creek Drive, who I see some here in the audience today, who shared their concerns at our first reading of this item. We've since had thoughtful exchanges with other neighbors who have reached out to better understand the application of SB 1333 to their properties. We appreciate the engagement as it definitely challenged the staff and helped build an overall broader knowledge base for the city's team as SB 1333 is applied to the rest of the city over the coming months. I want to recognize planning staff, specifically Lindsay Gelman and Justin Daniels, for their hands-on attention to residents' questions, and a shout out to our District 6 team, Joey, Karina, Jessica, and Amber, for their research and organizing our responses to emails and calls. While we likely haven't made everyone happy or removed every concern, we've worked hard to be available and to provide answers for as many residents as possible. For the benefit of the record and for colleagues who will be going through this soon enough, some already have, I want to share some of the key findings identified and communicated to our residents about SB 1333 and this rezoning process. This process is mandated and widely applied. The state law requires it. More than half of our city and countless properties across California have already completed this process. Open space designation in the riparian corridor policy. This is particularly important to those on Glen Erie along Los Gatos Creek and Creek Drive along Guadalupe River, and could come up again in future council districts. The open space designation is required by the city's riparian corridor policy, which has been in place for over 25 years. The goal is to protect our waterways by preventing large, incompatible development from polluting or harming creeks. Single-family residential properties are not considered a significant risk to our creeks. Our planning staff has confirmed no material impact on homeowners. Setback requirements are still measured from the property line. Remodeling or construction that meets R18 standards only requires standard building permits. No special use permits are needed. Accessory dwelling units, ADUs, remain allowed under state law. If a home is lost to fire or natural disaster, homeowners can still rebuild their single-family home. No property is lost due to this rezoning. The only real change would be if someone proposed a large multifamily industrial or commercial development, which is highly unlikely and not desired in single-family neighborhoods. No plans for trail extension or property acquisition. There are currently no plans to extend the Los Gatos Creek Trail through properties on Glen Erie. This rezoning does not grant public access rights to privately owned properties and does not include any trail development plans. And one of the questions is, why are some properties not included? Some properties, for example, on Glen Erie, were not included in the rezoning because they are already zoned to match the general plan designation as required by SB 1333. The riparian corridor setback already applies to these properties, so no zoning change is needed. This process is all about consistency and complying with SB 1333 and is not intended to single anyone out. I want to thank you again for your engagement and your commitment to our community. With that, I'll move to approve item 2.2A.
Thank you, Council Member. Thanks for those clarifications. I think it's helpful given the previous conversation and deferral of this item. Would you like to include the rest of the consent calendar in your motion?
I would like to include the rest of the consent calendar in my motion.
Second.
Great, thank you. Let me see if if colleagues want to chime in. Okay, we have a motion. We'll go to public comment next.
Thank you. When I call your name, please come on down. First person to the microphone, go ahead and start speaking. You do not have to speak in the order that you are called. The other people can line up behind the first person. So I have Rajka Kulik, Tom McFarland, Shirley Woods, Margaret Cucina, maybe? I can't read the last name, but the first name is Margaret. Mr. Carpenter, Marin Cedarquist, and Mark Trout. Come on down.
Hi, everybody. I voted for you, Matt. I really did. Okay, 2.32, the approval of free use of the Janet Gray Hayes Rotunda for the Silicon Valley Pride 50th anniversary event. This is not good, okay? We don't want to do this. We don't want to encourage evil and wickedness. Let them pay for their own hall, you know? Don't encourage this type of behavior, you know? You stand in the stead of God. It's a high office that you hold. It really is. It's an office. You know, Christians are not anarchists. And it says that in Romans 13. And it says that you are to execute wrath upon those that do evil. Now, one thing that I really hate about the LGBT is their hypocrisy. And Jesus had zero tolerance for hypocrisy. Jesus kept all the law perfectly. And in Leviticus, it says, don't hate your brother, right? And they're big on don't hate, stop hate, you know, blah, 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 which is actually technically correct. You know, we should not hate our brother in our heart. And sin always starts in the heart. But God explains to us in this verse, Leviticus 19, verse 17 and 18, he says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart, but thou shalt rebuke or frankly reprove your neighbor and not allow him to sin. Thou shalt not bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And it's hard to rebuke, believe me. I go out and I preach the Bible everywhere, and it's not easy. And sometimes I wimp out because I'm really not loving the person. But God actually says you're hateful if you don't rebuke. Think about that. It's the exact opposite of what the LGBT is teaching. You know, so every one of you should be reading the Bible.
Your time is up. Next speaker.
Hello, I'm here from Glen Erie Avenue. As you know, we are opposing this open space designation. Since you already voted on it, we would like to ask you to provide us something in writing that our properties are going to be grandfathered, the same rights that they are having as of now. Because in the research that we did and all communication with you, we received so many conflicting informations. I think that we did not have enough time to have you educate us on all implications and all informations received. We went even outside, reached out to attorneys, land use experts, and they all told us that many things that were provided are actually not applicable. So it would be really appreciated if you could give us any provision or anything stating that our properties are grandfathered with the existing rights. I have also here a copy of the letter that all of us residents on the Glen Erie signed, so you can review and see what can be possibly done. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
That's what I wanted them to see.
My name is Shirley Woods, and I live at I own 1317 Glen Erie. And I would also like to give a formal objection to the rezoning of my property into open space because of the possible restrictions, and I know you've said there aren't any, but I also would like to get that statement in writing that things will be the same for remodeling or rebuilding. The riparian corridor goes through my kitchen, living room, and bedroom, and for me this is a great concern for the future. Thank you.
Next speaker, and David Parker, you just said public comment. I don't know if you meant that for consent calendar or open forum. If you meant it for consent calendar, join the queue. Otherwise, I'll call you at open forum.
My name is Mr. Carpenter, and I hope you can all hear me. Part of the street, Glen Eyrie, you said, was already included in the riparian corridor for SB 1330. I have some questions about that because originally when purchased, my property extended into the middle of the creek, but recently, going through the papers, I have found out that at some point in time, in the last 20 years of my ownership, the property has changed to be in accordance with some of the neighbors, but not the ones behind me who are not included in that corridor. So I'd like to know when that happened, how it happened. I understand the why, accommodating the SB 1330, but I'd like to have that. Also, the creek side which you wish to include and keep the creeks up is failing. Many sections, especially the steeper ones, are slowly moving into the creek, which will then eventually remove the creek or make it less viable. This is also having an effect on the properties in that. My garage is one of them. So I think you should be looking into that as well. As far as the zoning, down the street on Glen Eyrie, you have allowed multiple dwelling apartments to be built, and they also have inadequate parking. They are now moving the parking up into our section of the neighborhood because they have no parking that they can use themselves. That's it.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. Myself, Thomas McFarland, and my wife strongly opposed to the rezoning of the Willow Glen area. We believe that there hasn't been due process, due notification, or proper review with the community, the property owners, and the homeowners of the rezoning process. We believe that the city should give us ample time to review and consider our objections, and I'd like to list a few of them that have not been addressed adequately. So the map, as you've heard, includes many homes, garages, and other structures through the backyards of our property, and it hasn't been clearly explained why open space needs to have that zoning regulations. The current rezoning from SP or R18 to open space will also restrict us. We've heard special use permits, we've heard CUP, we've heard different things from the city, from the responses that we've gotten that are contradictory to each other. So we're not even getting straight answers from the city on the questions that have been raised. And we can give you a couple examples. We have emails of that. There's going to be a lack of value to our property. So when you go through a rezoning, there's naturally a concern that your property value is going to be impacted. People are always unsure of what's going to happen in the future. Your current plans state that there's no changes, but open space has different rules, different regulations. So what happens in the future? That unknown is going to cause all of us homeowners very big concerns about how.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Okay, my name is Margaret Kakuza, and I live at 1309 Glen Eyrie Avenue. Mr. Mulcahy, I appreciate your summing up of all of the issues. What I would like to ask is that this council provide those of us who are living in this area who have objected, we would like something in writing that states all of the things you have just said, because council members change, city planners change, rules change, people change, And even if we're able to sell our houses, the residents change. So I think 45 days notice, which it may be legal, is just not long enough. Okay, and the last thing I really want to say is that in recent elections, there have been members who've been elected with single-digit vote majority. And I would like to remind everybody that in this small, tiny group, there's 25 or 30 people who will not be voting the way you think we should or think we will. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. We also received another card for Asan. Come on down.
Hello, my name is Asan. I'm a resident of Glen Eyrie, and I own a property there. So this is regarding the open space designation. So all the communications with the city, the response was, in summary, there's no impact for single residence home, but we're still gonna do it. It doesn't make sense. It just wastes our time, our valuable time of the city employees as well. So this is one side of things. The second side is there are a lot of promises being made but not written. So I expect that in line with the other people, that we should have this written down. But also one point we should clarify, like if I'm a potential buyer and I want to go and buy a property in two properties next to each other, one is within the open space designated area, one is not. Are you willing to pay the same amount of money for both of them? If not, then you should ask yourself, there is an impact, a financial impact of this. And I should just request you to think along that route, not just all theoretical. There should be enough study being done to say that, no, this is not the case. And I have not seen that. So this is my objection as a resident, as a citizen of the country. So yeah, thank you very much.
Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. My name is Maren Sederquist, and I'm president of the Willow Glen Neighborhood Association. The neighbors on Glen Eyrie and Westwood as well reached out to me because of the new zoning to comply with SB 1333. I want to thank Councilmember Mulcahy for all his work on this and reaching out to neighbors. I do think there is still some confusion as to the neighbors being able to build whatever they want within their current zoning. So I would like to support them in requesting something in writing to make sure their property values don't go down. Thank you very much.
Back to council.
Thank you. I'll just comment briefly before we vote. And Chris, if you don't mind coming down, I may just want to ask you a quick question, and then we'll take a vote here. I appreciate the neighbors being here, and I'm sorry for the level of stress this has caused you. We have been going through a couple of years now of the SB 1333 alignment that is being mandated by the state. We have seen this in neighborhood after neighborhood across the city, and every so often in a given neighborhood, we've had a group of neighbors come and be very concerned. So your concerns are valid. You're not the first, and it's been frustrating for us, frankly, over the last couple of years to have to go through a process that is complicated, is mandated by the state, and we have very little control over. That being said, I want to thank Councilmember Mulcahy for taking what I know has been a lot of time for him and his staff to dig in with city staff to try to get you the answers. I hear your point here, and I think it's very fair of you to ask us as a city to put in writing the answers to your questions and our interpretation between the planning department, if relevant, the city attorney, or whatever's the appropriate authority at the city, to give you in writing our interpretation of state law and what we're doing to follow the state mandate that we make all of our planning, land use, zoning consistent. That's the mandate that we have to follow. So with that in mind, Chris, if you don't mind, I know there's been a lot of back and forth over email. It still sounds like maybe not everyone has the same understanding. Can we do an FAQ or a memo, or is there some formal document we can give to the neighbors as a memorialization of our interpretation of what we're doing here?
Thank you, Mayor. Chris Burton, Director of Planning, Building Code Enforcement. So, yeah, we have provided a lot of information over email.
Sure.
And our latest email...
But emails can get confusing. Long threads,
Understood.
lots of back and forth,
Exactly.
you know, refinement over time.
Right, so I'm happy to put it into more of a letter format, if that's easier.
Thank you.
And then we can distribute that.
Okay. I would certainly appreciate that. It sounds like the neighbors would. Nora, I assume you and your team stand ready to help with any legal assessment of our requirements under state law as well. Okay. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Okay. I think,
and Mayor, can I
yes,
just
please,
make a comment?
Councilmember.
I appreciate you kind of summarizing that and asking for that. And, you know, my comments on the record were intended to sort of reinforce and summarize what we've communicated to the neighbors and specifically to Glen Erie Creek. And then there's been, you know, a few others, but not a lot. So I just want to make sure, I think we have the makings of this.
Yep.
And that's what I was really trying to do today for our attendees. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Noted, and I appreciate that. And again, I understand your frustration. I would just ask you not to take it out on your council member who spent an inordinate amount of time, more time with 25 constituents than most council members are able to find in a district of 100,000 people. So I do appreciate how much Michael Mulcahy has dug in on this issue. And so with that, we will take a vote.
Motion
Okay.
passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, we're moving on. We are on to item 3.3, Community Facilities District Number 11, Annexation Area Number 1, Public Hearing and Special Election. And I have a script I need to read, so please bear with me. Item number 3.3 is the public hearing on the annexation Area Number 1 to Community Facilities District Number 11 and the levy of special taxes in the area to be annexed. Before I formally open the hearing, are there any property owners or registered voters in the district or in Annexation Area Number 1 who wish to file written protests? If so, they must be filed with the city clerk now. Tony, have any written protests been filed with you?
No written protests have been filed.
Okay, thank you. Make sure I don't skip a page here. Okay. So that means we have less than 50% protests.
Yes.
Thank you. There being a protest by less than 50% of the registered voters residing within the existing district or within the territory proposed to be annexed, or by owners of less than 1/2 of the area of land in the existing district or within the proposed annexation area, and not exempt from the special tax, I will now open the public hearing to take public testimony on the proposed annexation and levy. After all testimony has been heard, I will close the public testimony portion of the hearing and direct the city clerk's office to tabulate the ballots received. No ballots will be accepted by the city clerk after the public testimony portion of the hearing has been closed. The public hearing on the annexation of Area Number 1 to CFD Number 11 is now open. Is there anyone who wishes to address the council on this issue?
I have no cards.
Okay. City clerk does not have any public comment cards. At this time, we are preparing to close the public hearing. Are there any property owners who wish to submit a ballot to the clerk? If so, you must submit your ballots now. The public testimony portion of this public hearing is now closed. I will now direct the city clerk's office to tabulate the ballots received for the special election. The city clerk will not accept any further ballots. Does the clerk need more time to tabulate the ballots?
No, there is one.
Okay.
And the vote is yes. And the property owner has 12 votes, so that is 12 votes for yes.
I'm sorry, Tony, would
Let me
you
read the whole
repeat that,
script.
please?
I have the results of the tabulation of the property owner ballots for CFD number 11, annexation area number 1. The results of the tabulation are property owners with a total of 12 votes have returned ballots in support of the levy of special taxes. Property owners with a total of 0 votes have returned ballots in opposition. Therefore, ballots submitted by property owners in annexation area number 1 in support of the levy of special taxes constitutes 2/3 or more of the total votes. The City Council may proceed to vote on imposition of the special tax.
Great. Thank you. Since property owners have supported the proposed levy of the special tax, I will now ask the council to consider the following actions. Number 1, adopt a resolution, A, declaring the results of the special election, B, determining that annexation area number 1 is annexed to Community Facilities District number 11, and C, directing the city clerk to record the notice of special tax lien. And 2, adopt an ordinance to take effect immediately, levying special taxes within annexation area number 1 of Community Facilities District number 11. Do we have a motion to that effect? Thank you. Okay. Do we have a question or comment from Councilmember Dewan?
Thank you, Mayor. Approving this will only have a positive consequences for the community and resident of Communication Hill. Not only will there be park trail, open space, commercial services, and mixed use, including restaurant, even school. But the most important will be the connection of Communication Hill to Kirtner Avenue, which will allow easier and quicker access for fire department and police department when responding to emergency. I am eager to approve 3.3 and 3.4 allowed this decade-long project to come alive. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. All right, I don't see any other hands. Tony, let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Before we move on, I inadvertently skipped item 3.1, report of the city manager. I understand, city manager.
I do not have a report today, but thank you, Mayor, for acknowledging that.
My apologies. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, we are now on to item 3.4. Community Facilities District number 8, annexation area number 3, public hearing and special election. And once again, I do have a script I need to read from. Item number 3.4 is the public hearing on the annexation of annexation area number 3 to Community Facilities District number 8 and the levy of special taxes in the area to be annexed. Before I formally open the hearing, are there any property owners or registered voters in the district or in annexation area number 3 who wish to file written protests? If so, they must be filed with the city clerk now. Have any written protests been filed with the city clerk?
No written protests have been filed.
Great. And should I read the less than 50? Yes. Sounds like there were no protests. All right, I'll read the if less than 50. Thank you. There being a protest by less than 50% of the registered voters residing within the existing district or within the territory proposed to be annexed, or by owners of less than 1/2 of the area of land in the existing district or within the proposed annexation area and not exempt from the special tax, I will open the public hearing to take public testimony on the proposed annexation and levy. After all testimony has been heard, I will close the public testimony portion of the hearing and direct the city clerk's office to tabulate the ballots received. No ballots will be accepted by the city clerk after the public testimony portion of the hearing has been closed. The public hearing on the annexation of area number 3 to CFD number 8 is now open.
I have no cards.
Okay. At this time, we are preparing to close the public hearing. Are there any property owners who wish to submit a ballot to the clerk? If so, then you must submit your ballots now. Not seeing anyone? The public testimony portion of this public hearing is now closed. I will now direct the city clerk's office to tabulate the ballots received for this special election. The city clerk will not accept any further ballots.
I do not need additional time.
Thank you, Tony.
I have the results of the tabulation of the property owner ballots for Community Facilities District Number 8, Annexation Area Number 3. The results of the tabulation are property owners with a total of 3 votes have returned ballots in support of the levy of special taxes. Property owners with a total of 0 votes have returned ballots in opposition to the levy of special taxes. Therefore, ballots submitted by property owners in Annexation Area Number 3 in support of the levy of special taxes constitutes 2/3 or more of the total votes. The City Council may proceed to vote on imposition of the special tax.
Thank you, Tony. Ballots submitted by property owners in Annexation Area Number 3 in support of the levy of special taxes constitute 2/3 or more of the votes. Oh, sorry, that was your line. Since the property owners have supported the proposed levy of special tax, I will now ask the council to consider the following actions. Number 1, adopt a resolution, A, declaring the results of the special election, B, determining that Annexation Area Number 3 is annexed to Community Facilities District Number 8, and C, directing the city clerk to record the notice of special tax lien, and 2, adopt an ordinance to take effect immediately, levying special taxes within Annexation Area Number 3 of Community Facilities District Number 8. Do we have a motion to that effect? So moved. Great. Thank you both. I don't see any other hands up. Tony, let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, and thank you all for bearing with me through those lengthy scripts. Okay. We are on to item 6.1, public hearing on sewer service and use charges and storm sewer service charges. There's no staff presentation that I'm aware of, so we will go to public comment first.
Yes. Don Gordon, come on down.
Sorry, my handwriting is horrible. It's Dan. But Mayor Mann, Vice Mayor Foley, honorable city council members. 12 months ago, I addressed the city council because I was against the proposed rate increase for all users averaging approximately 9%. This is for the wastewater fees. You voted the increase anyway, so I'm here to report that my bill reflected not a 9% increase, but a 40% rate increase. Can you imagine if that happened to you? Does it seem logical that non-metered user rates would increase by 9%, but that metered users with no change in their discharge would increase 40%? That's why I continue to request that all customers receive the same proportionate increases on their bills. I've been told that it's not possible to reformulate rates due to Proposition 218, and that previous rates could not be recalculated or refunded if there was an error. But I read Prop 218 in detail, and it actually mandates that once a customer requests a review of the billing rates, backup formulas, the city rate is required to do so and is also required to review, correct, and refund the trailing 4 years. I've requested calculations numerous times in writing the past 12 months, specifically going back to June 2022, but have had no response other than all billings are correct. ESD is going to tell you GB discharges dirtier water down the drain, meaning Gordon Biersch, than other companies. Fact is, our wastewater has been the same quality for the last 25 years since we built the brewery. In layman's terms, just like your non-metered users, we have the same amount of toilets flushing down the same amount of poo and pee for the past 25 years. Every significant bottler has exited San Jose. Franklin Distillers moved to Fairfield. Coke and Pepsi have shifted to San Leandro. They're only warehousing here now because of the high cost of doing business in San Jose with rates like these. I hope to stay here because I was born in this town and I love the city. This is where I'm relieved that this new rate that's being proposed doesn't rate my cost any higher this year, but I ask you for 2 considerations. Please follow the requirements of Prop 218 and require ESD to provide the requested calculations. And please require...
Sorry, that's your time. Back to council, which I think means back to me because I have a script. Subsequent to ESD's supplemental memorandum dated May 29th, The city clerk's office has received 22 additional sewer service and use charge protests. Therefore, the total number of valid written protests is 598 for the proposed sewer service and use charge. The total of all written protests during the public protest period, together with the speaker protesting the rate changes today, represents less than 1% of all customers impacted by the change in the sewer service and use charge. Therefore, staff may consider staff's recommendation for the sewer service and use charge increases. Back to you.
Thank you, Tony. Let's come back to the council for any questions, comments, or a motion. Councilmember Salas.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, to bring up that Dan Gordon has done so much for this city for the last, I don't know how many years you've been here, Dan. I remember going to your brewery years ago. And I did want to reiterate his point about the same poop going down the same toilets for the same 20 years. And so I think Dan's issue regarding Prop 218 and the fact that percentage-wise, his rates are going up 40%, but the non-metered people are going up 9% is something that we need to continue to look at from the standpoint of just a city, but also economic development. And Dan, I want to thank you for all you've done for this city for the last 20-plus years.
Thanks, council member. And Jeff, maybe for those of us who have been a little closer to this, can you help us understand why one category might go up 40% when another's going up 9%, or what might seem like a discrepancy, assuming those are factual numbers in terms of those increases, why it would be disproportionate?
Absolutely, Mayor. Thank you for the question. There is an attachment D in your packet there that shows what our base rates are. Every user is charged based on those base rates. What really varies between user types is how dirty the water is and how much the water is and what's in it. We take those rates and we calculate out what a single-family home would be discharging based on those exact rates, how dirty the water is and how much, and that's what we see for most residents. Just want to know what is it going to be every month or every year. And it's the same for the other industries, the commercial and light industrial. We also use those base rates, calculate based on how dirty the water is, and we give them a rate so they know they have a good way of calculating what their monthly or yearly sewer rate will be. For the monitoring industries, we don't do the math for them. We show them all those base rates so they can see exactly where their cost is going. So everyone pays the same rates. They can see exactly where their cost is going and then make decisions on their own what type of improvements they want to do on their property with a pre-treatment or enhanced pre-treatment in order to minimize their costs.
So so just so I understand, it's fair to say that it isn't just the cost, ultimately, the formula, it's not just a product of volume, but also the amount of organic or inorganic matter in the discharge, in the water. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that's correct.
That's part of the formula.
And the amount of organic matter, that is very important here in the equation. Our wastewater treatment plant was built to remove that, to prevent that organic matter from going into the bay. When it does go into the bay, it causes a pretty severe environmental damage. That's why we have the treatment plant, and that's the job we're doing, is to remove those organics, and a lot of the cost that we incur is to remove it. So that's an important component.
And then one more question from me, and I see a couple colleagues have their hands up. Obviously, a 40% increase is big and is certainly greater than economic growth or revenue growth tends to be. I can imagine it being pretty shocking and detrimental for a local business. If we were to assume that business has changed nothing over the last 25 years, what would have changed in that time period to yield such a jump rather than just a more steady? You know what I'm saying? You would expect kind of the slope of the curve to be a little smoother than a big jump. Why would we see a spike like that?
The major cost we've seen over the past 5 years is our efforts right now to rebuild the wastewater treatment plant to ensure that we continue to treat wastewater before it goes into the environment. That is our leading cost driver, but along with that is COVID and a lot of the repercussions we saw from COVID in higher material costs, higher chemical costs, higher electrical costs, and these are adding these cost pressures to our responsibility of wastewater treatment and maintaining our sanitary sewer system that gets the water to the plant.
And the differential of a 9% jump versus a 40% jump is because of the difference in?
Since everyone sees the same rates, it's a single-family home has very little BOD. So when the cost of BOD and when the cost of BOD goes up, those that are discharging the most BOD have a higher cost. Maybe an analogy here is if you buy 1 carton of eggs and the cost goes up $1, it's an extra $1. But if you're buying 10,000 carton of eggs, it's 10,000. So it really is the quantity of what it is versus its equal impact is the quantity, if that makes sense.
I think it does, although even in that analogy, on a percentage basis, the $10,000 jump wouldn't it be proportional?
It is, so it goes back to, we're comparing apples and oranges here. So for this one example, it's in a magnitude of thousands.
Okay. And I assume it's the BOD, it's the organic material that is a bigger multiplier
Sure.
in the formula.
Sure, perhaps a better way of explaining it here. As a resident, if you are spending 10 cents a month as a number on BOD, and it doubles in price, then you're going up to 20 cents, so it's not that much of a monthly impact. That 9% is a monthly increase. But if you're spending 100,000 on BOD and it doubles, now you're at 200,000. So that's it's a bigger financial impact. We're comparing a monthly residential rate to a monthly bill that has significantly higher concentrations of this product in it.
Okay. In both cases, though, it feels to me like what you have is a 100% increase. So percentage-wise, it would be equivalent. But I wasn't always the best at math. Let me go to Vice Mayor Foley, and we'll come back around.
Well, I'm not going to get in the math discussion with you. So first, I want to emphasize that we're proud to have industrial businesses like Gordon Biersch within the city of San Jose. There's a sense of pride of having and maintaining Gordon Biersch in San Jose. In fact, I've shared this story with others, but I hosted some visitors from Okayama, Japan, our sister city, and we wanted to make sure that we had everything San Jose represented. So we had Gordon Biersch beer, and they could not get enough of it. They just absolutely loved it. So Dan, shout out to you and your beer. More than that, you employ a lot of individuals with well-paying jobs, no college degrees, who can afford to live in this area, and I'm appreciative of that. I think it's good for the city. Having said that, I'm also sensitive to concerns about how rates are calculated, and as a public agency, transparency is critical, particularly when we're setting rates. So questions have come up about how rates are set and how we monitor and audit them. So I wonder if it's appropriate for me to ask for our auditor to do an audit based on our rates and how they're calculated. I don't know when the last time we had an audit done in that regard, but I think it might be useful given the complexity of this particular issue. So I don't know if I have to ask our auditor directly or if I can make it public here. I don't think he's in the room right now, but
Yeah, we have no objection to that, and we can certainly talk to our city auditor, Joe Royce, about that, and because I know he's bringing his work plan forward soon.
He's bringing his work plan to rules next week, so we'll ask him to make that amendment.
Okay, great. I truly appreciate that. So I just have a couple of questions, Jeff. Are we able to reduce rates any further at this point? And I understand that we may be restricted from 218. Can you elaborate on that and what that would mean about reducing rates and how we would apply that? Or could we?
If I understand the question, Vice Mayor, could it be reduced for an individual customer?
Actually, no. You can address that. Why don't you address that first and then address it globally?
Thank you. So it's not. Let me flip here to my notes. make sure I say this correctly. The methodology for establishing rates for different classes of customers is not discretionary, but based on our state revenue guidelines and state law as to the impact that each type of user has on the collection system and the treatment system. So not discretionary, and our rates are based on both state law and state revenue guidelines.
So if we, given the rates that we've noticed right now, if we were to reduce rates for our metered customers, would that result in an increase for our residential customers? And how, and I'm not suggesting we do this, but what would be the methodology? How would we do that? Or could we?
Well, we could not. And those rates for the monitored industries, those are the same rates that feed into the residential. So a reduction in those rates would have more of an impact on our collection system and the wastewater treatment plant, on our ability to meet regulatory compliance, offset our debt service for the rebuilding of the capital improvement program, also our investments in the collection system, treating wastewater, as well as our rehabilitation and replacement program. So it would be applied across the board with service delivery impacts.
Okay, actually that was my next question, so thank you for answering that. So how do, and I think you've already answered this, how do we ensure equity then between the sewer system and every user?
The way state law and the state revenue guidelines are set up, every customer pays their fair share at the same unit cost. And no customer subsidizes another, and that's really important. Your bill as a resident or a homeowner isn't helping to pay for your neighbor or for a monitored industry, and it's the same for monitored industries. They're not being charged more to pay for you. They're only paying for their wastewater and their BOD, which is a very significant cost for us to manage and to treat, only paying for their what they're putting into the sewer and how much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. I don't have any further questions, but I will move approval.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And second from Councilor Cohen. Let's go to Councilmember Salas.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up. Mayor, you're probably not quite as good as I am at math, but it's still pretty complicated, this stuff. Jeff, I just want to ask you, I'm just along the same lines of the mayor's question. I had the letter that documented the increase as of July 1st, 2024. And again, I believe that Gordon Biersch has had the same rough amount of BOD and suspended solids and ammonia for the last 20 years. But on that particular increase, the BOD went up by 64%, the suspended solids went up by 62%. And so if he had the same, it seems like he is disproportionately helping out the other users, the non-metered users, because theirs went up 9%. And so I'm still trying to get my arms, my eyes, my brain around that. Do you mind going just a little bit more into it? Because it doesn't make sense. It makes sense that we can't reduce rates, as the Vice Mayor asked, to help the other folks, but for some reason it seems like we can, on the metered users, increase rates to defer perhaps what is already in there. Just trying to understand it.
Sure, good questions. Let's see here. Our program is cost recovery. So we calculate what our cost for both capital and operations and maintenance for each parameter, wastewater, what we call BOD, biochemical, oxygen demand, suspended solid, and ammonia. We calculate all of those rates. We calculate our cost for the next year of doing the work we got to do to collect the water, treat it, and get it into the bay. And those costs have gone up. I kind of mentioned before on our capital improvement program and some other, most recently our dewatering, our biosolids dewatering. It's like that is primarily BOD in nature. And so costs with these type of treatment processes, digesters, air into our secondary process, growing the microorganisms that eat all the organics out of the water, the chemical cost, everything to do with removing the BOD from the water. All those costs get added up, and then they're then partitioned out to all those based on each individual BOD. Say there's 100 BODs being put in by all of us. Then that total cost gets divided by each little individual BOD. And if there's one customer who's putting 10 of those 100 BODs in the system, they're going to pay for 10% of that total cost.
I kind of sort of understand. But again, along the same lines, Gordon Biersch, had, wait a minute, let me step back. When I moved here, started the business, the first energy audit we did was at the wastewater treatment plant. And at that time, there were so many canneries here putting in so much BOD and suspended solids, I bet it's probably a factor of 100 to 1. So maybe I'm just asking, is there some way that you could, because you know the plant is designed for that. And now we have mostly people and very few commercial, industrial kind of users, and it's going to be less and less if we keep raising these rates like this. I'm just wondering if, as you revisit these rates and as what the Vice Mayor asked for, is there some way we can look at that? Because I wasn't even talking about the capital, it was just the O&M that you show going up 64% and 62% for the suspended solids in that July 1st letter, and that's just a huge increase, and there's got to be some way to look at it in a more balanced way, particularly because the plant was designed for all of those canneries. So thank you for considering.
Thanks, Councilmember. Let me turn to Councilmember Cohen.
Let me ask this in another way. Maybe this will help clarify. Presumably, the regulations for what we have to pull out of the water are much more stringent today than they were 50 years ago. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, that is.
So our costs have gone up a lot versus what they were when we had maybe more customers who were emitting the same kinds of contaminants.
That's correct.
And the type of, when costs go up for a certain type of removal, we can only charge the customers who are emitting that kind of, okay, sorry. We can only charge the customers who are emitting that kind, of which there are very few, so therefore an escalation in a chemical process that might be fairly high in terms of cost would be spread over very few customers, and that would explain why that customer base might see a much higher percentage increase than the residential customer base. Is that a good way? Is that a fair way of looking at it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, and keep in mind, our wastewater treatment plant is serving, I don't know how many millions, several million customers, I think, if you include all businesses and residences that it serves. 350. Anyway, it's well over 1 million customers. And by the way, it's not just San Jose residents. It's residents of West Valley, residents of Cupertino Sanitary District, Milpitas, many Santa Clara, other cities. And as members of TPAC, we have this debate all the time. Many of these residential customers in West Valley particularly, they've sued us because of the amount of investment we've put into the plant causes these increases in the rates for the residents in those parts of the county who don't necessarily get to decide whether we do the capital improvements that we need to do to keep this plant running. We've done a great job over the last 5 to 10 years of keeping the plant running while doing major multi-billion dollars worth of cost of capital investment that we've had to spread out the cost over all of our customers. So I will say, first of all, this today's action is not about this one type of emission, but about all of our customers. And a residential increase of 1.76% in the context of what we're doing, I think, is good, and I want to commend our staff for that. Obviously, there are trade-offs that businesses have to make about the kind of emissions that they put out, and there's things they can do locally to reduce the emissions, or they pay a higher rate for what goes to the sewer. So I just want to make, while I think we try to do our best to keep rates down and make sure that we don't overburden any customer, I think there certainly are explanations for why certain customers might see a much higher percentage increase than other customers, and it's hard to, we certainly can't spread out that cost amongst all the residential and all the other customers that we have. It has to be borne by those who are emitting those kinds of wastewater streams. And again, this is not about one type of stream. Industrial, and there's a lot of, by the way, tech companies in North San Jose who have industrial waste streams, but many of them have done a lot of investment to make sure that things that are harmful to our treatment system are removed before it goes into the sewer and before it gets to our treatment plant. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, that is.
And we are auditing all of those businesses as well for what they're sending to our treatment plant.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to thank you for this and make sure, and maybe give a little other context as to why I think this is, you know, an unfortunate result of math that makes sense because of the small number of customers that are emitting large amounts of certain kinds of contaminants that have had increased regulatory requirement over the years. For example, we're about to be dealing with a much more stringent nitrogen requirement that the Bay Area is imposing on wastewater treatment plants. We have been way ahead of the curve, and we're working to try to make sure that we're not asked to do more than we should, because we've already done a lot more than most other wastewater treatment plants in the area. But as that happens, we're going to have bear costs that are going to have to be spread across all of our users. So that's just one example of the type of effluent that will cause increased cost as regulations change both in California and in the Bay Area. So thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember, for laying that out. Let me turn to Councilmember Kamei.
Thank you so much. And I know that costs have increasingly continued to rise, as well as all of the contaminants that, you know, we have to monitor. I was curious in terms of, Councilmember Cohen mentioned that there are some industries that have started doing some pretreatments. Is the cost of pretreatments higher than the cost that it would take us to be able to remove those contaminants?
It's hard to do a one-for-one comparison. The operation of the treatment plant versus like an in-house on the property treatment system. But most companies that have pretreatment systems, they see significant savings in their wastewater bill, in the tune of about 80% reduction, depending on how dirty their source water is. So there is significant savings that they see. There is a cost with installing and running these type of pretreatment systems. So there's other factors in there, but they do see a significant reduction on their sewer bill when they have pretreatment systems.
So if the water isn't as dirty, then it is considered sort of, the fees would be less?
If it's dirty, then it's a less cost for paying that. The cost of paying for that dirty water going in is significantly lower.
Okay, so it really depends on the investments made in terms of whether you do a pretreatment or not.
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, I don't see any other hands, and we do have a motion on the floor. So Tony, I think it's time to vote.
Thought I heard a door opening, so I was waiting an extra second. But I'm going to go ahead and end voting. Motion passes 10-0 with one absent.
Okay.
This motion passes.
Okay, thank you. We are on to item 6.2. This is the public hearing on residential garbage and recycling services rates for single-family and multifamily residential solid waste services.
We do not have a presentation, but we are here for questions.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Tony, do we have public comment on item 6.2?
Yes, Jacqueline Long. And then after the public speakers, I have a script, and then I'll kick it back to you.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Luo. I'm resident at 2208 Galveston Avenue, Unit D. The reason I'm coming today, I would like to protect from my from the majority of property, and I want the city council will not adopt the increase. Thank you.
Okay, subsequent to ESD's supplemental memorandum dated May 29th, 2025, the city clerk's office has received 32 additional residential garbage and recycling rate protests. Therefore, the total number of valid written protests is 721 for the proposed residential garbage and recycling rates. And I just got another card for this. So Robert, come on down, and then I will continue with the script.
Thank you. I wanted to question why the rates are going up. Thank you. Why the rate is going up, and how do you calculate the rates? Being that these are contractors, these contracts, how are they? You know, how do you come to a number to say this? I mean, I just want to know why we're getting these increases, and I understand the contracts are going up, and I understand why these contracts got to go up because they got to maintain vehicles that are running back and forth, and then also pay the people that work at these. However, with that said, I've seen some decreases in the service, and I'm just wondering what's going on with that as well. There have been times that our garbage has been missed and not picked up, and so I'm just, again, wanting to know why the rates are going up. Is there, other than, you know, just being a contract issue? So, can anybody answer that?
We don't respond to the comments here, but given your comment, I suspect one of us will ask staff to maybe comment on that. But
okay,
we don't, yeah, thank you though.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, the total of all written protests during the public protest period, together with the 2 speakers protesting the rate changes today, represents less than 1% of all customers impacted by the change in residential garbage and recycling rates. Therefore, council may consider staff's recommendation for residential garbage and recycling rate increases. Back to council.
Thank you, Tony. And just in the spirit of some of the questions that were just raised, Jeff, if I could just ask you and your team to maybe briefly just remind us, if you could share how much the rate's going up, why it's going up, and how it gets calculated, and maybe comment on the point about cost recovery and how fees work. If we could just do a, I don't know, 90-second explainer on how this works.
Good afternoon, Valerie Osmond, Deputy Director with Environmental Services. Thank you for your question, Mayor Mahan. I'm actually excited to answer this question. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our residents of San Jose. We've been tracking residential recycling contamination for the last several years, and we've seen some significant improvements. We measured in the fall of 2024 the residential recycling contamination, and we previously had measured that in 2022, and the rate came in at 57%, meaning more than half of what was in our recycling carts was garbage or unrecyclable recyclables, contaminated recyclables, and in 2024 those results came in at 41%. So that's a big win and an excellent job by our residents. Those rates impact the amount of compensation that we pay to our recycling haulers. So because the contamination was much higher in previous years, the compensation to the haulers was much higher, resulting in higher rates for our residents. Because of that improvement, we are paying our residential recycling haulers less in the next 2 fiscal years, and that has resulted in a lower rate increase this year. We were originally estimating about 5 or 6% rate increase for single-family homes. We actually notified residents that we were proposing up to 3% rate increase, and we've actually got that down to 2%. So we're really proud of our much lower rate increases for our residents. Additionally, each year we look at the refuse rate index, and we do make rate adjustments based on the refuse rate index that takes into account cost of living, fuel, various other factors.
Great, thank you. And there is no excess revenue or net revenue that we're generating. It is a cost recovery model, is that correct?
It is. The bulk of the cost does go towards the contracts themselves with very low overhead, and yes, it's essentially a cost recovery system. We ended up with a larger ending fund balance than expected, which is how we were able to bring that down an additional 1% down to the 2% that's proposed.
Thanks for sharing that and for your work. I know you and I a few years ago did a PSA on how to recycle right, and I want to echo your thanks to our community for being more mindful of what goes in recycling, what goes in trash, and helping us bring down contamination rates and therefore control costs. No rate increase is fun, but in a moment of high inflation, high interest rates, to be able to keep this increase to just 2% this year is a much lower increase than we're seeing almost everywhere else, including the price of eggs and gasoline. So I do want to thank staff for working hard to control costs, though I know no rate increase is easy on our community. And that is a 2% increase, as Valerie mentioned. Okay, I don't see any other hands. Do we have a motion on item 6.2? Okay, thank you. Still not seeing hands, so Tony, let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Great, thank you. We're on to item 6.3, public hearing on San Jose Municipal Water System, potable and recycled water rates and charges. No presentation, but staff's available for questions. Tony, do we have any public comment?
I have no public comment, but I do have a script. Subsequent to ESD's supplemental memorandum dated May 29th, the city clerk's office has received 7 additional potable water rate protests. Therefore, the total number of valid written protests is 249 for the proposed potable water rates. No protests have been received from recycled water customers in response to the proposed recycled water rates. The total of all written protests received during the public protest period represents less than 1% of all customers impacted by the change in water retail rates. Therefore, council may consider staff's recommendation for municipal water system rate increases. Back to council.
Thank you, Tony. Coming back to the council. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you. I don't see any other hands. Tony, let's vote.
Motion passes 10-1 with Candelas voting against.
Thank you. We are on to item 8.2, public hearing to approve the city's amended community participation plan. No staff presentation, but we do have staff available to answer questions. Tony, do we have public comment?
I have no cards for this item.
Okay, coming back to the council.
Move approval.
Second. Thank you. Tony, let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We're on to item 8.3, public hearing on the 2025 to 2030 consolidated plan and the fiscal year 2025 to 2026 annual action plan. Again, no staff presentation, but we do have staff available. Do we have public comment?
I have no public comment.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Coming back to the council on item 8.3.
Move approval. Second.
Thank you. Tony, let's vote. Okay.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Tony. We're on to item 8.4, actions related to the loan commitment for pre-development activities at Gateway Tower Affordable Housing Development located at 445, 465, and 493 South 1st Street and 460, 470, and 480 South Market Street. Again, no staff presentation, but we do have staff available. Tony, do we have any public comment?
I have no cards.
Okay. Going back to the council, we'll go to Council Member Salas.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention to my colleagues, this is a core project. It's a tremendous amount of housing near the downtown, and I'm very much in favor of it. And I know the core folks have been working hard to get this through.
Yes, they have. Thank you, Councilor. Did you move the item?
And I move the motion. I mean, I move the,
Move item 8.4? All right, thank you. All right, I don't see any other hands. Tony, let's vote on item 8.4.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, we're on to item 8.5, proposed scope of work for the 4-year review of the Envision San Jose 2024 general plan. And Rosalind, do we have a staff presentation, or should we just take up the item? Hopefully everyone read the memo. Okay, Tony, do we have public comment?
Yes, Robert Wood, come on down.
Great. We'll take public comment.
Hi, I'm Robert Chapman Wood. I'm professor of strategic management at San Jose State University. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm also, I find that I'm one of the few people in the Bay Area who studied both urban planning and economics in academia. And I'm also the chair of the housing committee of the California Faculty Association San Jose State chapter. And I want to speak against the proposed work plan. I believe that if the review is carried out the way that it's outlined in the work plan, it will not be possible for the mayor's goals to be achieved, and we want the mayor's goals to be achieved very much. Housing has been in San Jose ever since the 2011 general plan called Envision 2040. The planners have focused on what they call provision, I'm sorry, I've got the wrong name, capacity. And they've put into place a lot of capacity in places where it was not feasible to actually build the housing. And this has helped us to get our housing elements passed by the state, but has not helped us to get any housing built. Prior to 2007, Seattle and San Jose each produced the same amount of housing every year. Since the 2011 general plan, Seattle has produced 3 to 5 times as much housing per year as San Jose. So we need a general plan review that will actually fix these problems, focus on actual production and not just on increasing capacity so we can look good for the state. To do that, we will probably need, I want to say, I really appreciate the work.
That's your time. Sven, come on down.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Angel Aliano, speaking on behalf of the Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits, an alliance of community-based organizations working to support thriving and equitable communities in Santa Clara County. I'd like to start by thanking the 4 council members and the mayor for their memo requesting a comprehensive community outreach program facilitated by the Office of Racial and Social Equity as well as code enforcement. However, as an organization committed to deep and inclusive community engagement, we know that the city needs to go beyond simply informing residents of public hearings. This is why we have concerns about the proposal to replace the broad-based cross-sector task force with the smaller and less representative planning commission. If council votes to sideline the task force, we do ask that the city involve its existing bench of nonprofit and consultant community engagement specialists in designing and facilitating the outreach process that's recommended in the council memo. City must ensure that the diverse voices across San Jose are heard and reflected in the general plan update. Thank you.
Back to council.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, coming back to council, we'll go to Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to commend the staff for not presenting this afternoon. We've read the memo, and I think many of us have been briefed on it, and I really want to commend you for being proactive and beginning the process early. We know how long the 6th cycle of the housing element took, and we don't want to be late because we don't know what kind of penalties we may face as a result this year. The general plan is perhaps one of the most important documents that we produce at the city. It guides future growth for decades, so it's important that we get it right. As a council member, I actually sat on the last general plan 4-year review task force, and it was a long and arduous process made up of many, many people meeting in the middle of COVID over Zoom. It was very difficult to have a group that large engaged on an issue that is pretty complicated. So the so I support having the Planning Commission be the task force and represent the task force. Although I do have one concern, and that is the lack of diversity. There's, I think, one female who sits on the Planning Commission, so women are underrepresented. If we go to a Planning Commission as the task force, that doesn't change the makeup of the task force. So it means that the efforts that we do for outreach must be huge and as far-reaching as possible. So that's why I supported the memo from my fellow Brown Act colleagues to engage in a much larger way the public so that we can gain their input on the general plan and where we may be going with things like urban villages and other issues that we face. So I believe that this outreach should be rest with the Office of Racial and Social Equity, and that they be in charge of the outreach. That's what the memo says, and so I support that. I fully support the scope of the 4-year general plan review, and with that, I will move our memo and move the 4-year review item.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Vice Mayor. Let's go to Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank staff for your hard work putting this together. I also want to thank my Vice Mayor for her comments, as well as my colleagues who put forth a memo. I think it's extremely important that as the city makes decisions about the future of our municipality, we have a diverse group of voices to be included in those conversations. The general plan for 4-year review has historically brought together a broad range of stakeholders to shape the city's long-term land use vision. And historically, labor has been a vital part of those conversations, and for good reason. When we talk about development and land use, we're also talking about jobs. And not just any jobs, we're also talking about good union jobs that offer fair wages, safe working conditions, and a pathway to economic stability. As we move towards streamlining CEQA and fast-tracking housing, we cannot overlook the importance of making sure that quality jobs are being created. We have a responsibility to ensure that as we build San Jose's future, we are also uplifting the working families who are building it with their hands. So I wanted to propose a friendly amendment to the Vice Mayor that we include specific language directing staff to also engage labor partners throughout the general plan 4-year review process, which would include the South Bay Labor Council, the building trades, both basic craft and mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and sprinkler fitter unions.
Councilmember, just to clarify, that's as part of the outreach component and not the makeup of the task force.
Correct.
I'm happy with that friendly amendment.
All right, thank you. All right,
Is that okay with the seconder? Yeah, good. All right.
All right, thank you.
Do you think you were going to have to fight a little bit harder?
I thought I was going to have to fight a little bit harder, but not this time.
No.
I appreciate that, Vice Mayor.
Thanks, Councilmember. Let's go to Councilmember Condelis.
Thank you, Mayor, and I thank you for. Wait, no, I don't have to. There was no presentation, you know, I appreciate the memorandum from my colleagues. I I do have a question is, as part of the staff memo, or as part of the group memorandum, there's a direction to provide a comprehensive public outreach program. And, it also goes on to say to provide meaningful opportunities for residents, community stakeholders to share input throughout the four-year review process. Now, how are we going to ensure it's going to be a two-way dialogue and not just a, here's what the task force said, and how are we going to be able to actually get that feedback and incorporate it in such a truncated schedule? I guess in years past with the 40 or so member task force, it was cumbersome because we had so many voices, and we had, it was kind of like herding cats. And so now how do we make sure that, we meet the timeline obligated by the state, while also making sure that we're also not just having a token outreach plan that's not genuinely providing the feedback as part of the 4-year review process in a meaningful and good way, if you will.
Thank you, Councilmember. Chris Burton, Director of Planning, Building, Code Enforcement. I'm joined by Ruth Cueto, Principal Planner on our citywide team. I think it's an excellent question. I think we've learned a lot through the 3 years we spent on the last housing element, where we had a really sort of in-depth and integrated outreach plan that allowed the opportunity for communication in both directions, so we could hear more directly from stakeholders in advance of the conversation. And we're going to sort of continue to sort of look to that as an experience as we bring forward a more in-depth communication guide, which will likely be back to council in end of August, early September. Got it.
And I mean, there's only 6 study sessions, so I would imagine that in those 6 study sessions, as it's written in the memorandum, I mean, part of those is to be able to have those robust conversations with the community in between those 6 study sessions, that we will be able to have iterative conversations based on what's discussed, and also have, changes based on what the community outreach and what that outreach outside of the Planning Commission or the task force, to make sure that we're tangibly capturing the feedback of our community that we're trying to accomplish. And I just want to make sure that's the purpose, or with my colleagues especially, that's the goal of the memorandum. Right?
Yes.
All right, that's the goal. Okay. All right. Thank you. I mean, I think there's.
I'm
as
sorry,
you
wasn't sure that was directed to me, but
oh
yes,
no, it's
absolutely.
to Michael. Whoever was the
Absolutely.
lead author on this memorandum. I think my concern is, we started off with, this is one of the single most important things, where we didn't even have a presentation on this. So if it's really important to us and not just a sense of tokenism, then we have to put our best foot forward on this, regardless of a budget meeting that's supposed to be a few hours next week. And so I appreciate the consideration and look forward to keeping apprised of this process in the coming months. Thanks.
All right, thanks, council member. Do we have any other questions or comments from colleagues? Okay, all right, not seeing any. Tony, let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. We're on to open forum, which is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on city business that was not on today's agenda. Tony, it looks like we have a few comment cards.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to read the names. I'm going to go a little slow since we have so many people who didn't hear me say this stuff earlier. When I call your name, come on down to the microphone. You do not have to come in the order you're called. If you are speaking another language or wish to have interpretation, the screen automatically interprets your words, and the council members also have access to that interpretation on their own screens. So just go ahead and speak as you normally would. Rajka Kolik, Mark Trout, David Parker, Jeremy Bruce, and Jessica DeReza. I'll start with you, and then I'll add names after those people speak.
It's me again. This time I'm talking about the same issue I had the last time about the payment on the project that we finished for you. After a month going, emailing with the Public Works Department, I was told two things. They need more research. When I asked the question, was the system installed properly on the project? And is this the issue that they are holding money for? I was told they need more research. We are talking already a year past since city officials moved in the building. The second thing I was told that the advice from your attorney that we don't have a contract with the city and that we should go after general contractor. At the end of the day, it's a city is the owner of the building. City needs to step in and do real research, what's going on, why the funds are held. You cannot withhold the funds from every single subcontractor that worked on the job without any specific date, when are we going to be paid? I think in all fairness, somebody needs to step in and tell to us, this is the date you're going to be paid. It's going to be month, 2, 3, 4, a year, but we need to know the date because we paid our union guys, because we are the union shop, we paid our insurance on the project, we did all the warranty work, we did everything, and I think it's fair to all of us to have a date and to come to us and tell us, this is when you're going to be paid. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Jeremy Bruce, Amigos de Guadalupe, Center for Justice and Empowerment. I hope that each of you had a chance to read our memo about the need for more city funding to support immigrants and other residents as we prepare for mass deportations. Through our hotline, today alone, we've received calls about 6 arrests since early this morning. We're disappointed that the city hasn't made this more of a priority. The Trump administration promised that this is coming, and we still have time to get as ready as we can be. Once Republicans in Congress pass their budget, which includes 10 times the funding ever spent on immigration enforcement, they will hire, train, and deploy 10 times more ICE agents than ever before. And we're going to be in the middle of a tidal wave of families getting torn apart, the disregard for basic due process, and innocent people getting detained and deported. It's going to be something like we've never seen before. Thousands and thousands of San Jose residents will be impacted. Even without these new resources, ICE is already showing us what this is going to look like. Did you guys see what happened in San Diego over the weekend? ICE went after a popular restaurant there, came in military style, used flashbang grenades in the operation, and arrested people who were witnessing the raid. Imagine this happening here at one of our restaurants, at Bill's in the Rose Garden, or Aki, or the Table in Willow Glen. Imagine thousands of San Jose residents detained and deported. This is coming, and we've been warned. There are obvious limits to what the city can do to stop deportation that is ramping up, but you all can do something that we know helps. People need information about their rights. They need legal representation. How many times does it need to be said? These are not normal times, and we all need to step up and protect what we love. We appreciate the $500,000 commitment, but we at least need $1.5 million so that legal providers can get the help to.
Thank you. That's your time. Next speaker, also come down Karina Magana and Areli Valerio.
Good afternoon. My name is Areli Valeriano, and I'm here to share a story of our community member. 6 years ago, my husband was killed by organized crime in our home country. This event deeply marked my life, leaving me alone with 2 small children and facing not only the pain of loss, but also overwhelming fear due to daily insecurity in Mexico. Violence, crime, and the lack of protection from authorities place us in a constant danger. We had to constantly hide, be extremely careful about what we do, where we went, who we talked to. That was not like a life, it was a nightmare. After much reflection, I made the difficult decision to immigrate with my children, seeking protection and the opportunity to give them a safe and more dignified life. I have now been in this country for a year. During this time, for the first time in a long time, I have felt peace, knowing that my children and I are safe here in San Jose, the place we now call home, the city where I dream of seeing my children and one day my grandchildren grow up. However, with the recent changes in immigration policies and the current climate of uncertainty, the fear of being deported has returned. The possibility of going back to an environment of violence and insecurities poses a serious risk to us, especially for my children. Returning would mean exposing their lives once again to the dangerous situations and losing the stability we have fought for to achieve. For this reason, I humbly ask that you consider helping and supporting us with humanity and understanding. We only wish to live in a safe place, work with dignity, and raise our children with the peace and security they deserve. Thank you for your attention and for giving me the opportunity to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Also Adeline Martinez, come on down, and Ms. Rayan Mendoza.
Good evening. My name is Jessica de Reza with Amigos de Guadalupe. As you all know, the Trump administration is building a massive deportation system aimed at millions, most of whom have committed no crime. This machine includes new detention centers, fast-track deportation flights, international deals to accept or imprison deportees, and tens of thousands of newly hired agents. The price tag, $45 million, 10 times more than last year. In just 6 to 8 months, once those agents are deployed, we'll see mass arrests, and we're already witnessing disturbing abuses. People are being taken with no real evidence, falsely labeled gang members, and deported to foreign prisons. The administration has claimed that basic constitutional protections no longer apply. That means people can be detained and deported without due process, without proof, and without recourse. It's already happening, and when this system scales up, many innocent people in our own valley will be at risk. That is terrifying, and it demands action. Mayor, council members, this is an unprecedented time, and we ask you to lead. There is a proven way to fight back, which is legal representation. When immigrants have access to attorneys, they are 10 times more likely to win their cases, remain with their families, and continue contributing to our city. But the reality is we don't have enough lawyers to meet the need. That is why we're calling for increased city funding for legal aid and outreach, so residents know their rights and where to turn for help. This isn't charity, it's a vital investment in San Jose's future, one that keeps families together, our economy stable, and our community safe. I urge you, meet this moment with the leadership that San Jose is known for. Let's invest in the very people that invest in us every single day. Thank you for your time, your commitment, and a San Jose that protects every resident no matter where they come from. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Karina Magaña, and I am reading a testimony from a resident in San Jose. I would like to begin saying that in the 24 years that I've lived in San Jose, I've never felt the way I've been feeling in recent months, under stress and with deep fear. My family is made up of my mother, my 3 children, and my 2 grandchildren, making us a mixed status family that includes undocumented members, lawful permanent residents, and U.S. citizens. Our family is like millions of others in this country, honest, hardworking, and striving to move forward. Today I'm here to express to the mayor and the council my fear that one day I might leave my home and be detained by ICE, unable to return to my loved ones. My mother has even ended up in the hospital due to anxiety attacks brought on by the news that she sees every day. She's even said this to me, that if for any reason she and I are detained, she would rather take her own life. She says that there's no possibility of returning to the place we came from. We have no home there. Going back would mean going to die. Given the situation with organized crime, we would have no chance of survival. Another thing, those who are being most affected are my grandchildren,
ages 8 and 10. Before they talked about going, where we were going to go on the summer and what they wanted to do on the weekend. Now we talk about why is immigration doing this to us? And they ask me if they deport me. If they deport me, what will happen to them and where will they hide if immigration comes? Our children do not have to live like this. We need to get out of this circle of fear and terror that the federal administration causes us. Despite our fear, we're here to ask that the local elected officials support us and take action in the face of this humanitarian crisis. We must prepare and be proactive.
Thank you. That's your time. Next speaker. I'd also like to call Jesus Ochoa, Jose Murillo, and Angel. Come on down.
Good afternoon. So how do we pay for this? The mayor's budget message includes $500K toward this proposal. This leaves an additional $1 million that needs to be found in the city budget to pay for additional immigration services. Given this proposal is focused on community safety, we suggest that this funding comes from the city's budget related to public safety. The mayor's 25-2026 proposed operating budget includes funding for a new SJPD neighborhood quality of life unit, paid in part by allocating funds saved by eliminating 6 vacant positions, as well as other cost savings. We suggest that using $1 million of those saved funds toward the budget request related to the services for immigrants. As noted in the 2025-2026 proposed operating budget, eliminating those vacant positions is expected to have minimal impact on current service delivery. Our suggestion would still leave $1 million left for the new quality of life unit. Because the funding would come from SJPD positions that are currently vacant and have been deemed not necessary according to the budget, this proposal is not in effect reducing the effectiveness of SJPD. Instead, this modern investment by the city will increase public safety by providing critical resources to enable San Jose residents to have basic legal representation, vital information about their rights, and support should their families be torn apart. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. I'd also like to call Allison Singalani.
Hola a todos, mi nombre es Adilene. Hoy estoy aquí para compartirle algo muy personal, algo que jamás pensé que le pasaría a mi familia y que nunca debería de pasarle a nadie. La mañana 2 de abril de este año, mi esposo, el padre...
And to share something very personal, something I never thought would happen to my family and that should never happen to anyone.
Era como un día cualquiera hasta que dejó de hacerlo. A solo unas cuadras de nuestra casa lo detuvieron. Parecía una...
On the morning of April 2nd of this year, my husband, the father of our 2 little ones, was doing something completely normal, taking the children to daycare. It was like any other day until he stopped. Just a few blocks from our house, he was arrested. It looked like a regular traffic stop, but it wasn't. Suddenly, immigration agents surrounded him. They arrested him right there. Without warning, without explanation. They just took him away. They put him on a warship vehicle. He was identified and taken away. But what happened next still keeps me up at night. One of our officers got into our car with our 2 little ones and took them to a nearby parking lot. They didn't ask permission. They just took them away. Then ICE called me and told me I had 20 minutes to pick up my kids, or they would be handed over to social services. I was working over 30 minutes away. I ran out of work. My heart was beating so hard I could hardly breathe. When I arrived, officers everywhere demanded identification before letting me see my children, and then I saw them. And as soon as my children looked at me, they ran towards me scared and confused. I hugged them with all my strength, trying to hold on for them, even though inside I was falling apart. I will never forget those moments. Thankfully, someone in our community had called the Rapid Response Network after seeing AIS in the area. When I arrived, there were already volunteers there, calm, present, and ready to help. One of them approached me asking for my husband's information and immediately contacted the legal team. Within minutes, lawyers were calling AIS demanding to speak with my husband for a legal consultation.
I'm sorry, that's your time. Next speaker.
Thanks to the quick response, at least my husband had someone standing up for him, someone who saw him not just as a number, but as a human being. Sorry, that's your time. Next speaker.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council members, Vice Mayor. I'm Allison Singalani, Director of Policy with SV at Home. And I just wanted to thank you. I'm speaking in support of staff's recommendations for both the scope and the recommendations for the 4-year review task force. So I just wanted to thank you for both of those items passing with your unanimous support. It's a disciplined and thoughtful approach. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. I also received 2 new cards. Nicholas and Meredith, come on down.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jesus, and I'm here to read a testimony from one of our young community members here in San Jose. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm an 11-year-old community leader with Amigos de Guadalupe. I'll be sharing with you all how I feel about ICE. My mom is a single mother who works tirelessly to provide for my brother and me. She works long hours, sometimes even traveling out of state, all in order to ensure that we have what we need to help us reach our goals, like going to college one day. When she is away, my grandma and great-grandma are the ones who take care of us. They pick us up from school, they make us food, shower us, and play with us. But there's a fear in my mind, the fear that one day we might be separated, that one day when my mom is away for work, we don't get picked up. The thought of ICE taking my grandmothers away is terrifying. Many of my classmates and I used to talk about things that we enjoy, like toys or games. Now we talk about what is La Migra, or what will happen if we are taken back to countries we barely know, or where would we hide if La Migra comes into our school. In the mornings, when my mom used to drive us to school, we used to talk about our plans for the day, the fun things we would do on the weekend. Now all we talk about is what my brother and I would do if immigration officials came to our school. It makes me sad and upset to even think about for a second of losing my family or friends, simply because of where we come from. I want to go back to not being scared. I want my family to be safe, and I want them to be happy. Not just my family, but all of the families who are in fear of losing their friends or family. And this is why I'm giving my testimony today, because together we are stronger. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Angela Liano with SVCN. I'm going to keep my comments quick, but I just wanted to show support for all the folks who spoke today. SVCN and its members are firmly committed to racial justice, and we stand in solidarity with Amigos de Guadalupe and other community members' requests for additional immigrant support funding. The federal administration will continue to accelerate its attacks on immigrant communities over the next 4 years, and the city must continue to prioritize legal services and outreach. It's imperative that the city does everything in its power to keep families together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Meredith Hurley. I'm a volunteer with Amigos de Guadalupe Center for Justice and Empowerment, a teacher in District 3, and a longtime voter in District 9. I'm here to support Amigos de Guadalupe and calling for the $1.5 million of the city budget to be directed toward immigrant legal services. Since 2017, I've been a legal observer for the Rapid Response Network of Santa Clara County, where I've responded to families in crisis when their loved ones were abducted by ICE officers. No person should ever be subjected to the ongoing terror created by these agents. I'll never forget being the only legal observer to show up on a weekday morning and introducing myself to a terrified woman whose husband and brother had disappeared after leaving their tools for work behind in the carport. I'll never forget accompanying a community member to his appointment at an ICE office because his attorney's caseload was too big. At the appointment, the ICE agents removed the community member's ankle monitor and sarcastically reminded him not to leave the state while waiting for his next court date. And I'll never forget the day one of my 5th grade students asked me as we headed back to class after recess, what will we do when La Migra comes to our school? It's been several years since our local community decided to be a sanctuary for our immigrant neighbors, and I'm proud to be part of a community still dedicated to that commitment in today's political climate. We know that honoring our past commitments, while important, are not enough on their own to defend our community against the well-funded immigration enforcement machine of the Trump administration in the coming months. We need the city of San Jose to show it values defending its residents by spending the $1.5 million of its budget on legal services for immigrant community members. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicholas Hurley. I am a resident of District 9 and a volunteer with Amigos de Guadalupe, Center for Justice and Empowerment, and the Rapid Response Network of Santa Clara County. I am here to support Amigos de Guadalupe in their request for even more money in the city budget for immigrant legal services and support. Immigrants are a core part of our community here in San Jose. We all know that, documented and undocumented. And the Trump administration is coming after them. And not just after them, they are coming after allies that look like me as well. People who just want to make sure that our community is safe. This is a safety issue for everyone involved, for immigrants being ripped away from their families, for allies and citizens being disappeared just because we dared to speak up, even when we're following the law to the letter. This is a moral and a fiscal imperative for the city of San Jose to put this money towards supporting our community members. Because without these community members, this city starts to fall apart. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, council members. David Parker. I represent members of MEF 101 in PBCE. I'm here to voice my frustration with the recent directive for staff to return to City Hall. While it's well intended to help the businesses of downtown, it's not going to work. When you have a burger place charging $25 for lunch, I think a lot of staff members don't have that extra money just sitting around. And then to tell our members, to tell our workers, okay, now you have to walk 4 blocks to go park your car in a relatively sketchy, unsafe part of the city. I've lived in downtown San Jose for over 20 years, and the safety around City Hall and downtown is getting a lot worse. To compel our workers to come back and put themselves at greater risk is not fair to them. You have very hard workers in the city, and there needs to be some flexibility for members who can do the job without an impact to services. To follow up on the safety issue, I just want to share a brief story. Last week, I was coming to City Hall from Starbucks across the street. I was at the corner where the bus stop is, and there was a bus there. I had the pedestrian go ahead, and I go to step out into traffic, and a car, and I think it was a city employee, but a car goes around the bus and through the white cordoned off area in the crosswalk. Almost hit me. There were 4 city workers who saw that. Council, I wish that you would reconsider this policy and allow some more flexibility for the staff that can provide the services without an impact. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, council members. My name is Ray Mendoza. I'm here with Amigos de Guadalupe. What are we waiting for? We need to prepare. And I know the budget has a lot of holes. They need to do a lot of things to fix the budget. But what are we doing? My people is terrorized. It's $1.5 million. It sounds like a lot of money. I understand. But it's actually 0.03% of the whole budget of the city of San Jose. $1.5 million to protect my people. Okay? Our people is being terrorized. This is a public safety matter. You know what's going to happen? When things happen like they happen in San Diego, like Jeremy said, or things like those people in the bus in Florida that look like criminals, like murderers, they look like workers to me. And we have to do this. We have to find a way to do this. You know, it's not easy to be in my skin. It's not easy to be in our skin. We terrorize. How much more can we tell you that? Okay? You are the constituents that represent the city. This is your responsibility. You told us, find the funds. We found them. How can we work together to come up with something better? And I thank you for the $500,000 that you put into my community. But we need more. And this is not the end, okay? Each of us have a responsibility. We contribute. You see those signs there? How much money immigrants contribute to this country? And we've been terrorized. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in our shoes. None of you up there have to worry about thinking about making a plan to who you're going to leave your kids with. We do.
Sorry, your time is up. Next speaker. Okay, I've called all of the cards, and I don't see anybody queued up, so back to council.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone who came and shared your stories and advocated today. That concludes open forum, and we are now adjourned.